Hey everybody, it's Dr. Bill Jensen. Welcome to another episode of the Evolve Wellness Experience. Gotta admit, I've been slacking a little bit lately. It's been a few months since we did a podcast, but today we got a great one for you. I know a lot of times we talk about all the different ways that you can be healthy. Well, today we're going to talk about a great technology that I've introduced into my practice lately, and it's going to make you look good. So we don't want you just feeling good, but we want you looking good. So if you're interested in that, this will be a great show for you. Enjoy. All right. Well, yeah, like I said, been slacking for a few months, been super busy at the practice, a lot of good changes going on at Premier Wellness Centers, but one of the great changes that we've been implementing into the practice lately is a new technology called iShape. And so today I got the man himself on here that's introduced this technology to me, and it's making some awesome differences for people in the body contouring world, as well as taking off fine lines and wrinkles, so you know, just carving years off people's faces. So, and it's really amazing. So, that gentleman is Dr. Mark Pollack. So, welcome to the podcast, my friend.
Thank you so much. I love being here. I love discussing the iShape aesthetics. I just love that technology. So, I think we'll have a lot of fun today.
Yes, sir. Yeah. Let me tell you what, man. When you came to my practice a few months ago, and I met you for the first time, and you said that you had this technology that you wanted to introduce into my practice because you thought it was a really good fit. I mean, I gotta admit, when you started telling me, you know, you can take an inch to 3 inches off somebody's stomach in 60 minutes. I had my doubts, but then you got me on the table and I took an inch off in 60 minutes. So it was pretty amazing. So, but tell us a little bit about your background and really how you got involved in the aesthetics world.
Sure. It's actually kind of an interesting thing because I had practiced for 30 years in chiropractic, just short of 30 years. And I retired essentially at a point when I'd run 5 huge offices, and it was my favorite sport in the entire world. I loved every single day of it. But, you know, after 30 years and 5 huge offices and hundreds of employees working for me, I was just burnt out, exhausted, and quite frankly, my shoulders, my legs, my feet, my whole body was kind of a little bit exhausted from the entire thing. And so I decided to step away and sell my offices. And like most people like myself that cannot retire and should not retire, after about 1.5 years of taking some time for myself for the first time in my life, I was helping a lot of big companies do fun things like bring things public and you know, do a lot of different interesting things. It was really just for sport for me. It was just a lot of fun because I'd made my money in chiropractic. I enjoyed my life in chiropractic, but I really missed it, and I wanted to be in some way, shape, or form associated or to continue helping people, because really every single dollar I ever made was from helping somebody. And it felt good to be able to say that. Truthfully, it's kind of funny, but this is an extension of that because I'm actually helping doctors to market their practices, to bring more people to those offices. Marketing was always my favorite sport. The reason for that was that I realized early on that if I wasn't marketing my practice all the time, that I wasn't going to be able to do the things I wanted to do, meaning I wanted to introduce people to chiropractic that probably weren't going to be there or weren't going to show up anytime soon. And by going out and doing all these marketing events, I'd bring so many people into my office and build these huge practices. But it was so much fun for me to introduce people that probably were never going to be introduced to chiropractic, to be introduced to chiropractic, and then to get them results that would get them to talk and talk and talk and to spread the word. And it literally created such a geometric type of marketing for my practices that I owned 5 of the largest practices in the country for 15 of my 30 years. And it was just fun. It was just nothing but fun for me. Well, I ended up meeting a couple of gentlemen that owned a spa, and they were tired of spending $200,000 to $250,000 worth of technology, you know, to fill, you know, one room in their spa. And then what was worse was they ended up having to spend another $200,000 a year just to run the technology that they owned, or they couldn't utilize it without time cards and durable goods. And so they really had something they wanted to do, but they didn't know what to do. And they had a concept of marrying some technologies that did not require durable goods, that did not require time cards, and that were far more effective than the machines that they were spending that money on. And so I thought that was kind of a really cool, interesting thing. And that was all it was. It was just an interesting thing that I was going to help some guys with. I'm obviously good at physics, engineering, art, design, a lot of different things that I studied when I was in chiropractic school, because I literally read a book a day every single day when I woke up. I took twice as many courses as I was allowed to take in college. I needed deans to sign off on it because I was just a person who loved to suck up information. And so I thought this would be kind of a cool thing. I met with the guys. We came up with a piece of technology that was 10 times better than anything else out there. And they took that and ran with it. And what was interesting is that I noticed that it was sucking in so many people. It was drawing in so many people into their offices. I was like, this is the most unbelievable thing in the world. I wish I could take one of these machines and put it in a chiropractor's office, in a massage room, and actually draw people into that office. It would be the greatest little, magnet ever. And that's what I thought of. And I said, guys, I'd like to introduce this to the chiropractors. I'd like to really put this in some chiropractors' offices and see if it works as well in that, arena. Well, wow. We took a couple of the machines, we put them into some doctors' offices, and it was overnight ridiculous. It was drawing in more people than even I could draw in from my great marketing events. And, when I noticed that, I said, wow, we got something here. I really have a way of helping my profession. I have a way of helping the doctors to do what I did that they can't necessarily do. Not everybody loves marketing. Most people don't. Most people don't like to do what I did probably my entire 15 to 30 years of marketing. It's not something a lot of chiropractors really wanted to do. But this, nobody had to know anything to do. The magnet, the machine itself, attracted so much attention that it did it by itself. And, so then I, really tested it out and figured out one of the things was that the machine can draw people in, but because it was such an out-of-the-box idea, the doctors didn't know how to represent it. They didn't know how to script it. They didn't know how to do the consult or to cross-market it. And so I said, something, this is my wheelhouse. So I created all of the reverse engineered scripting so that from the second these people called the office to the time that they came in for the consultation, that this literally was just a system, a process that would do everything that needed to be done for the doctors and for the clients so that they would be able to come in, have a brief consultation. The consultation would explain everything they needed to know and wanted to know. And it would also get them to think about other areas of their body that they wanted to improve. And then it also gave them the concept to understand that if they looked the way they wanted to look, if they finally got a chance, an opportunity to look the way they didn't even think they'd ever be able to look, would it really be worth anything if they weren't as healthy and as energetic as they need to be? Meaning if you could, lose, whatever amount of inches you needed to lose and sculpt your body into a physique where you could wear, let's say you were a woman, you wanted to wear this dress. You always wished you could wear a dress like that, but have never been able to do so. Now you could. Well, if you could get into that dress, but you were sick to death with the flu, would you care?
You're not going to the ball anyway.
You're not going to the ball anyway. And truth is, when you're sick, when you're ill, nothing else matters. Everybody stops what they're doing. Even the hard workers like myself or you, we may go to work, but we're not the same guy. We're not the same person.
Motivated.
We're not motivated. We don't feel good. The only thing we're thinking about is the fact that we don't feel good.
Yeah, I just want to get through it.
Right. So I wanted them to understand the concept that the reason I created this was not only to help people to feel good, but to get them to understand that feeling good was only half of what they really wanted. The other half was to feel to actually physically feel as good as they're about to look, if that makes sense.
Right. Yeah. Good beauty on the inside and the outside, so to speak.
Yeah, because we know health comes from the inside. And you know what's really interesting, and I found this out really by accident, and it was that when people started to feel better about themselves, meaning they started to look better, even from the first treatment, when you could take off bra fat or back fat or abdominal fat or side fat, the second they literally felt like, wow, I'm going to be able to look away I never felt I could ever look. They also felt so good and so positive that, you know, as I know, that when you feel better, you heal better. The chemistry within your body changes, the dynamics change. And all of a sudden, these people that were looking better were actually healing better and getting physically better within the doctor's office in a faster amount of time. It was stuff that I was watching, and it was so perplexing to me that it blew my mind. Yeah. And then I was really excited about this technology. And I said, you know something? I got something really special here. It's not just drawing people into the office to look better and to actually physically cross-market and become chiropractic patients, but it was actually mentally helping them to get excited about changing and to doing the things that they needed to do. It's funny, most people, they don't really stick with the diet because the diet's more painful before they see results. So they're like, and they'll cheat. They keep cheating. And the reason they cheat is because it's painful to diet, diet, even the word.
Yeah. It's all a head game, like 100%. It's just, it's a mental grind every single day.
Yes. When you're trying to do something that you know is going to be difficult, it doesn't work. It doesn't work because most people aren't strong enough to make the distance, to go the distance. But what's really interesting is when you take 1 to 3 inches off somebody's body, they instantly believe that they can go the distance. And now they're willing to participate in their own rescue. They're willing to stop eating the stuff that they know they shouldn't have eaten. They're willing to drink less. They're willing to drink more water. They're willing to do things that they weren't willing to do before they believed it was possible. And all of a sudden, this crazy little machine not only attracted lots and lots of people to these doctors' offices, but it actually gave them the ability to then do the dietary plans or the nutritional plans or to change their lifestyle or to start exercising and do all these fun things and do all these great things and make them fun. So I guess I'm a little overly passionate about this technology, but
don't hold back. Tell us how you really feel about the technology.
I know. But, well, my whole life, the one thing I've loved more than anything else in the world is helping people. And I guess, chiropractic gave me the ability to help people in ways I didn't even know I'd be able to help them. And I studied really hard and I worked really hard, and I never assumed that no matter how good I was, that I couldn't be better. And the fruits of my labor were to see all of these people that never would have felt the way they felt, feel the way they felt because I came into their lives. And so, marketing was fun for me because I knew the end result is I would find a lot of people, help a lot of people, and those people would end up helping other people by spreading the message about what was possible. And now all of a sudden I've got this technology that's helping doctors in ways that they really do need. Doctors are not terribly good at marketing. They don't like marketing. They consider it sales, and sales is almost, a very bad word to most people. It's uncomfortable. And there is no sales with this. You saw it yourself. In fact, you know what? Very funny. Yes, we took the inch off you, but your mom lost 2.5 inches. And I think she's about, 80?
She's 76 years old. Yeah.
76 years old. And man, she looked so phenomenally excited after she came out. She was bouncing off the walls. And I'm like, oh, I just love that.
She said, "You will get that machine." And
yes.
I said, "Yes, mother, I know." Because we've had a deal forever. She's like, "I'm going to put you through college, and I'm going to take care of all that, but you're going to give me a facelift when I'm older." That was always the deal. Always the deal. right? So this, that never happened, but this was the next best thing that I could do for her, obviously, is, and now she's been utilizing the technology to remove, some of the frown lines and different areas of concern for her on her face, and it's obviously done an amazing job. So I am fulfilling that promise to some degree, for sure.
Yes, you are. Absolutely. But what's really interesting is the excitement, the excitement of your mom
Oh,
when she got the treatment.
she immediately went out and told all of the women that live in her neighborhood, and I think one of the very first people to get on that technology after we got it in was her neighbor.
Yeah,
That immediately
yeah.
came in and started doing some work on her face as well. So, and tomorrow I have a lecture that I'm going to do for 35 people in her community at the clubhouse, and we're going to be talking about this technology because everybody wants to know about it. So, yeah.
It's really contagious, and that's the beauty of it. That's why marketing with this machine works so well, because you don't have to tell people to tell everybody about it. They're going to tell everybody about it. It blows their mind, and they're so excited about it. They want to tell everybody. And generally, we get about 4 to 6 people from every one person. But your mom, obviously, you got 35 people right away. And
Yeah.
what was really exciting was, I saw your mom in the waiting room, and I was leaving one day, and she was telling everybody in your front office about this machine. And when I walked out, I felt like a celebrity. She was like, "And this is Dr. Pollack. Please tell us about the machine." And I sat there and said, "Okay, no problem."
Yeah,
But that's the
absolutely.
fun part about this. It's fun. It's exciting. Everybody's happy about it. You're making people feel good about themselves. And when they start to feel good about themselves, they're more willing to do the things they should do that they probably wouldn't have done or been motivated to do without it. And so
Absolutely.
this crazy machine became a really wonderful magnet. And over the years, I've made the machine stronger. I've made the machine more durable. I've made it so that basically it's, at this point, service-free and indestructible, because the machine needs the ability to not be used a couple of hours, a couple of days a week, like most aesthetic machines. This really needs to be able to go 8 to 10 hours a day, 6 to 7 days a week, because it will bring in and draw its own people.
Yeah.
And why
Yeah,
not?
we had that baby rolling from 9 in the morning until 7 o'clock at night last night. Booked. We only had a 30-minute break just so like the two estheticians could like switch out. That was like, it was jammed
Exactly.
all day long.
You don't have
Yeah.
to change the machine. You just have to switch out the estheticians.
That's all we did. Yeah, we had to plug and play. That's it.
Yeah.
So tell us about the technology itself and what it can do.
Fantastic. So the technology is very interesting because this is the only painless technology there is out there. This is the only technology that'll strip literally 1 inch to 3 inches off it strips it off now in the brand new machine. It strips it off in about 20 minutes. It'll take 1 inch to 3 inches off. And because it does it so effectively, when you remove 1 inch to 3 inches of volume, you now have a second problem, which thankfully we have the cure for, and that is saggy skin. Because if you take 1 inch to 3 inches of fat off, you're going to have saggy skin, and saggy skin looks worse than fat. And so the second part of the treatment for 30 minutes is to actually tighten up the skin with radiofrequency. So let me show you how that works. We'll back it up a little bit. The ultrasound cavitation, the sound wave cavitation, actually literally the sound wave fractures the egg, or what I call an egg, the fat cell. It fractures the outer membrane of the fat cell, and when it does, it cracks it like an egg, allowing the fat to leak into the gut, and it's transported by this water river we call the lymphatic system, brings it to the liver, and the liver processes it like a regular fatty meal, and it urinates the fat out permanently. So you'll see for the next 2 days, some people see fat in their urine and feces. That's your fat being permanently discharged. You will never get it back. The body does not manufacture fat within its fat cells within the body, and so you can't get back the fat cells that you lost. The only thing you can do is increase or decrease the size of the remaining cells. So this is a permanent fat solution. Once you lose that fat and you change your lifestyle, you will not get that back, and you will literally look the way you wanted to look for as long as you wish to look that way.
And how long? I mean, how long would it really take somebody to diet and exercise 1 to 3 inches of fat? I mean, it would take
oh my
weeks
gosh,
and weeks and
it takes you
weeks.
4 to 6 weeks.
Yeah.
It takes you at least 4 to 6 weeks if you really went hard at it. But you wouldn't be losing it permanently. Even if you dieted the 1 to 3 inches off,
Right.
you could ruin yourself with a couple of weekends or crazy meals or, alcohol or things like that and bring it all right back in. And that's the problem, because people, they lose the weight and then they just feel like they want all that stuff that they didn't get when they were losing the weight. So they get all that stuff. They take a little bit and a little more and a little more and a little more. Before you know it, almost most people that diet and lose weight get it all back again.
And
it's like lottery winners. Lottery winners, they'll win $100 million. And 2 years later, they not only lost $100 million, they're actually further in debt, if that's possible. Yeah. It's the same way with diets. And with this, it's not that way, because you lose it permanently and you lose the ability to destroy yourself, because those cells aren't there to be increased in size.
Right.
So it's better than dieting. Even if you were, focused enough to diet, you still couldn't do dieting wise what we do with this machine. It's impossible.
Right.
And and the second thing is, of course, we use radio frequency, which is a really cool frequency. It actually literally, what it does is it sends from the probe to wherever you put it, it sends a signal to the brain saying that area is burning. That's not burning. In fact, it's just a fake signal. But the fake signal stimulates the brain to stimulate collagen production instantaneously at the area. And when it does so, the collagen instantaneously reformulates the skin. And when it reformulates the skin, you have this, what looks like youthful, glowing, beautiful skin, the skin of a 20-year-old. And the reason I say that is because not just because it has this beautiful, vibrant look and it's nice and taut, but it actually approximates the pores, because when you tighten the skin, you approximate the pores. When you approximate the pores, you start to look more youthful, because the difference between somebody like me that's 63 years old and a 20-year-old is really the size of their pores and the glow of their skin. And so this literally takes my 63-year-old skin, and it makes it look like I'm a 20-something-year-old.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and let me tell you, it really does it. I mean, it's phenomenal. And I would also say what we've been noticing too is that when the people get done with a treatment, you can see it, right? I mean, you definitely can see the changes that have occurred, and we'll take some before and after pictures so we can actually show them, because obviously unless you kind of see the side by sides, it's sometimes hard to see how big of a difference it made. But even the next day, there's even a more drastic result the next day.
Sure.
And you can really see changes that have occurred, because there's maybe a little bit of inflammation, from the ultrasound cavitation and all that process. But once that inflammation dies down by that next day, it's like, holy cow, it's like a huge difference.
Yeah. So even if they've measured, let's say they measured 2 or 3 inches, right afterwards, which is not unusual at all. Yes, they're going to have another 1/4 to a 1/2 inch the next day, because once the inflammation subsides, which is a normal process, the body is just basically bringing blood to the area, because blood carries oxygen. Oxygen helps the tissue heal. And so it's just a normal process that the body has. But yes, the next day you can definitely see the difference. And the first time I actually did it myself, many, many, many years ago, it was funny, because I'm not a real mirror person. I'm not the kind of guy, I could walk by every mirror and never look in it. Maybe I'd be better off looking in the mirrors so I could catch those things I should catch. But the bottom line is that I went the very next day after I got the first treatment. I took my sides off, because I had those really big sides. No matter how hard I worked out, I still had the sides. And when they removed them, I was like, wow, this is unbelievable. This technology is unbelievable. But the next day I had my shirt off. I was walking into the kitchen, and I noticed my shoulders looked like they had grown twice as much in the middle of the night. But it wasn't that my shoulders grew. It was that my waist had subsided, really gotten narrow, and now it made my shoulders appear like they were larger.
Right.
And I got to tell you something. I had a croissant and a cup of coffee every single day, almost my whole life since I was able to order, coffee. And I took the croissant that was in my hand when I saw what I looked like in the mirror, and I tossed it in the trash, and I'd never bought a croissant since. I literally decided that moment that was too good to be willing to give up.
Right.
And I just continued on. So, it's a very cool thing mentally for your clients. The clients just absolutely go nuts over it. They love to tell everybody about it. And I'm sure you'll soon have, a room that literally is just backed up for weeks and weeks and weeks.
Yeah, I mean, we're already starting to see it occur, and we're trying to strategize on opening up some more days and stuff like that, or how we're going to be able to like fit more people in there for sure. So, but you spoke briefly about what we would probably consider love handles in your particular instance. But
yes,
what are all the different areas of concern that you see, people getting treatment with this
sure.
unit for?
I would say with men. Men specifically, and by the way, men are not your clients mostly. They're your clients after you've done their girlfriend or their wife or somebody that they know. That person wants to get results to say, hey, honey, you got to go in and do this. And it's usually the abdomen and the sides. But I think the sides make the biggest difference because most people don't realize that once you remove the sides, it really does make a big difference instantly. And then the abdomen as well. That's really most of what guys really want, because that and the double chin. I used to have a big chin over here. In fact, you could have, before I had this machine, you could actually literally see it over here. Like it was, it was a kind of like a frog thing, It didn't look good. It was very unimpressive, I got to tell you. And so we removed that. And that's another thing that men like to remove. But for women, I would say that bra fat is the single biggest thing that most women really hate. That bra fat, when they put the bra and then that fat goes over that area, that's something they think they'll never, ever, ever be able to lose. And it's something that bothers them every single day of their lives in most cases. That is a home run when you can take that off and they can literally see, wow, I never have to look at that again. Back fat is another thing that men like myself would never think about. But when women, put on bras and they have that back fat, it looks unsightly and it really bothers them. And they don't like to wear bathing suits because of it. And it wipes that bra fat right out. So that's another big, big thing that women really love. Of course, the abdomen, a lot of women want to, decrease the abdomen, especially people, women that have had kids. If they've had kids, they want to bring themselves back to that place, but you can't always get back to that place. In fact, in most cases, most women don't get back to that place. But this machine can bring you all the way back to that place, and it can remove all the fat in the abdomen, and you can start to see the abdominal, muscles. It can remove, the back and the bra fat. It can remove those unsightly, I believe they call them bat wings, the fat that just, hangs in the breeze and stuff like that. It can completely eliminate that as well. And that is another big thing that women really love about this machine.
We had a lady who that was her primary concern, was the bat wings, and it just knocked them right out. I mean, I think she went through 6 sessions and they're gone. They're not even there anymore. She was so stoked.
And I mean, you should interview her next time, because I got to tell you something. You'll probably have to tie her feet down to the floor, because she'll be bouncing all over the ceiling, telling you how excited she is. It's the greatest feeling in the world to be able to give somebody that permanent pleasure of knowing that they don't need to see what they never wanted to see, and they now get to see something they wished they could always see. So it's really special.
We had another lady actually too. She's super excited. She just bought a big package for us too. Inner thighs.
Yes.
She's like within two sessions, and I wouldn't even classify her. I mean, she's fit, but she's like, I kind of want my, I don't want my thighs to rub against each other, and stuff like that. I want to have that gap like I did when I was, in my 20s. And within just 2 or 3 sessions, she had already taken off 3 inches, and she was so pumped about it, and now she's going to be working on her abdomen too now and getting things tightened up there for summer. And yeah, she's just, it was amazing.
Well, it's very funny that you say that, because it was the very next thing I was going to say. Because, I'm not in there for the demos, and I'm not in there for the treatments, because, men are not allowed to be in there. But what's really interesting is thighs are another really big thing. And I never really realized how big a thing it was. But it really is a huge thing. And, it's not uncommon to pull, we've actually had some women pull off 3 and 4 and 4.5 inches off their thighs, each thigh, in a single session. So, that seems bizarre, and that is definitely outside the scope of what normally happens. But man, when you strip that fat off the thighs, they go nuts, and they instantly start to envision themselves in clothes that they always wanted to wear. So it's just it's a lovely machine that really does special things. And the last thing, of course, is that unfortunately so many people these days are utilizing Botox, which is a horrible toxin, to basically paralyze their muscles so that they no longer have to have wrinkles and lines. And we all know how unhealthy it is, and certainly even the people utilizing it knows how it is. But this machine will actually remove all of the lines that Botox would have removed, only it does it in a healthy way. It actually does it with laser light and radio frequency combined in this clear, focused head, a special head that we designed specifically for this. And the reason for that is that most of the lines that women really want to remove that they can't remove are right around their eyes. And most machines, any machine that does anything for the face, generally you need to goggle up. But if you goggle up, you put the goggles right over the lines you really want to remove. And so it made no sense to me. And so we came up with a clear, focused head, and we have this laser-like red light therapy being focused directly through the head, combined with radio frequency, so that it's really effective. See, in the face, you don't want to destroy the fat cells. You do not want to destroy fat cells in the face, because there it'll make you look more skeletal, more gaunt, or older. You actually want to decrease the amount of fat within the cell without destroying the cell. And that's why we use laser-like red light therapy on the face, because it reduces the fat content within the cell without eliminating the cell. Now, the problem here is if you just did that alone, the cell would shrink. But if you did something bad, like, you had a weekend of mad eating and partying and drinking, it would increase again. So it's pointless. If it's going to go away right away, it's pointless. And so when we combined it with the radio frequency, not only would it shrink, but we could shrink the skin over the area and restrict that cell from wanting to increase in size again, which made the entire result last infinitely longer as a result. And now you can sculpt the lines into your face. You can remove the lines from your face. You can remove the bags and lines from your eyes and around your eyes. You can remove the double, triple, quadruple chin and really sculpt yourself. If you see my chin, I didn't have this chin line. This chin line was produced by iShape. Thank goodness for my own technology.
You're not only the president, you're
exactly.
the client. You're a client.
The hair club. Only I don't have too much hair.
Yeah. So, maybe that's the next technology.
The last thing, Bill, I would say is another one thing that women really love is, and this we just saw in a demo, is really interesting. I was at a demo, and there was a person being worked on, and then the daughter of that individual was sitting in a chair adjacent to the table watching her, and I was outside the room. I happened to be walking by, and I hear her just going crazy in there. She's, "Oh my God, it's I see the cellulite, it's disappearing in front of me." And I'm like knocking on the door and saying, "What's going on in there?" And so the lady, she walks out, she goes, "This machine is unbelievable. I just saw the cellulite disappear from my mom's butt and thighs." And the level of excitement,
though, is believing,
was so crazy that, it's contagious. And so being in this business has become a very exciting thing for me. Forget the money or it being a lucrative business. This is a very exciting, fun business. It's a way of helping all of the doctors to market their practices in the easiest, most impossibly easiest fashion, and to help individuals that I'll never probably meet feel better than they ever thought they'd feel about themselves. And at the same time, because they did it at a chiropractor's office, they're also going to be infinitely healthier the rest of their life as a result. Win-win.
Yeah, it's a win-win all the way around for everybody involved. There's no doubt about it. And it's just it's interesting because, you know, given a choice, people just always want to look good, right? I mean, it's just such a motivator for people to look good. And yeah, and so that vehicle, in order to use that to get more traffic through the doors of a chiropractor's practice and just get more exposure and you know, secondary things that are going to come from that, is just, it's awesome. You know, like you said, it's a win-win for everybody.
It's a very out of the box. It's a very out of the box concept, and some doctors, you know, have a hard time with it because they say, well, this is not related to chiropractic. But, you know, my theory, Bill, was that, you know, I wanted to help people, and whatever it took to get those people from wherever they were to my office, I was willing to do. And people used to joke about the way I marketed. You know, I went out to these lectures and I would do all these, you know, extravagant things, but I was there to help people. And I knew that I needed to get them into my office. And the only place I could help them was in my office. And so whatever it took to get them there, I was open to it as long as it was an ethical solution. And this is certainly a phenomenally ethical solution, whereby people are actually coming for something they desperately want. And yeah, it's crazy because people will pay in 2 seconds for this care when they would balk about anything that would cost half that much for their health. It's sad. It's Absolutely. Sad, but you know something?
But bottom it's line true.
Is, Bill, you're attracting people into your office from your community. Whatever you're using, whether it's this methodology or whatever it takes, you're getting an opportunity to see these people, to talk to these people, to help these people, and to change their lives. And when you do, you're obviously going to get the opportunity to be introduced to their family and friends and help their lives, and on and on. So to me, it's just about helping people, and whatever it takes to get those people to my place or get those people to your place. I think this is a great solution and a great opportunity.
Absolutely.
To bring more people in.
Mm-hmm. No doubt about it. You spoke a little bit about, you know, how it works with cellulite and things like that. And I remember many years ago, and I can't right now think of the name of the technology, but it was the primary way that you would actually reduce cellulite. And I remember it was painful. I mean, it was almost like it had rollers, and you rolled it up and it would grab onto your skin and pull it up into the machine, and it would pinch like really hard.
Oh, gosh.
And that was breaking up the fascia, or what was pulling down and creating the dimpling effect and creating cellulite. So I mean, there's there's other technologies out there for sculpting and taking fat off and things like that. So what are some of the, and you see them online all the time. So what are the other kind of main technologies that are similar to this technology? Like cool sculpting or things like that out there, but how is this different and better?
Yeah, I mean, it's actually kind of interesting because I have no competition whatsoever. And the reason for that is because, in Europe and other countries, they've had this technology for almost 20 years now. The U.S. has not introduced it nor allowed it for many years. And the reason for that is just like the drug companies, kind of the drug cartel, they don't like when you come up with a natural solution because they'd rather sell you a drug. Well, a lot of the companies out there that you're seeing are based on finances. So let's just take any of those companies, because they all run on the premise that they're going to sell you a machine that's like a printer, and then you're going to have to spend a certain amount of money to utilize it every single treatment, which are called durable goods and time cards. So you're going to have to use a time card and click that time card in and reprogram that time card so that you're paying the company every single time you turn your machine on. So you haven't really bought it. If you think about, you spent $200,000 to rent it. You didn't buy it.
Right.
Cool sculpting, for instance, when we look at cool sculpting doesn't compare in any way, shape, or form. Cool sculpting is not only painful, it's downright unbelievably painful. It's people have told me it's basically if I, and I'm a strong guy, if I took my hand and grabbed your stomach as hard as I could and held it that way for an hour, that's the sensation they get from utilizing the machine. Hours, as you've seen, people just fall asleep during the treatment because it's so not only painless but
I have a
relaxing.
hard time staying awake.
I never stay
Actually,
awake.
it like when it gets to the tightening portion of the treatment. Yeah, I'm like nodding out. The esthetician's talking to me. I'm like, my eyes are like because it's so
Absolutely.
relaxing. It feels so
So every other
relaxing.
modality out there is uncomfortable at the very best, but cool sculpting is downright painful. Now, what it does is it literally draws the tissue in. It freezes the tissue, and because it's such an unnatural process to the body, it causes a special type of scarring in 1 in 100 individuals that literally can only be taken off the body through multiple surgeries because it's dangerous scarring that forms around the organs and vessels. So cool sculpting is very dangerous to use, very painful to use, and cool sculpting charges the doctors so much to utilize the actual technology that they literally have to charge $5,000 to $7,000 a treatment because the company's charging them over $2,500 a treatment plus the lease of the machine just to use it. Now, so
Yeah, that's bad business there.
no company wants to compete with me because it requires no durable goods. My machine requires nothing but grapeseed oil. You have a gallon of grapeseed oil for $10, it'll last you for 3-4 months. And that's all it costs. So there's really no comparison to the machines because we're the only painless one. Every other one is painful. We're the only one that actually gets immediate results. There is no other machine that gets immediate results. And there's no machine out there presently that gets results without surgery that comes even remotely close to our results. So I'd love to be able, I've looked at every one of the machines, the machines that cause muscle contraction and stuff like that. There's a big machine out there that basically is nothing more than Russian stimulation. It contracts the muscles vigorously. It causes muscles to develop in sedentary people that never ever go to the gym and sit on the couch all the time because they never use their muscles. It allows their muscles to actually do something. It causes some increased metabolism adjacent to those cells that are actually being utilized. And so you might lose a little weight, but you could lose the same weight if you went into a sauna or steam room. So there's really nothing out there to compete with us in any of the ways. I mean, we charge so much less than everybody else that most people just can't believe it's even possible that we get the results and charge them so little.
Yeah, that's the response that I'm certainly getting from people when, because I never been in the aesthetics game, so I really didn't have anything to compare it to. But when some of the women coming in have, gotten work done in the past and things like that. And they're like, that is more than a reasonable price that you're charging.
It's ridiculous. So. You could charge twice that amount and not one single person would balk. Not at all. And so that's the whole thing. It gives us, the ability to help people. What's really nice about this, Bill, is because we give an immediate, incredible result that, by the way, the result is, the fat result is permanent, but the skin results, obviously your skin's going to stretch naturally. And so once a year, you need to come in every 10 to 12 months for 1 or 2 treatments just to tighten it back up again. So you got a lifelong lasting result for a ridiculously inexpensive amount of money. And it was painless. There's just no category that we don't win in. Everything else is way more uncomfortable, way more expensive. And in fact, the next treatment up from us is that muscle treatment I was talking to you about. And that treatment starts at, I believe, between $800 and $900 for the smallest possible section.
Wow.
Per session. Yeah, and that's the least expensive from us, next up from us. So we're, we're a third of the least expensive one. That one yields no real results, by the way, no real results. And so the truth of the matter is, there's nothing at all that competes with us in any category. And if there were, I'd be willing to say that, because I'd want to know that so that I could do something to improve what we have to make it even better. But the truth of the matter is, after now our fourth machine, there's really nothing to improve upon. If I want it as badly as I want, I can't improve upon this technology because it's not possible. Technically, it is not possible at this point. It does the most amazing results in the shortest amount of time for the least amount of money, and all you need is an esthetician and oil.
Yeah, and that's the truth, no doubt about that. Now, obviously, I'm sure there's tons of listeners out there that are like ready to get in there and do stuff like that, get some treatments and, get the body that they want, or take some years off their face as far as, some of the aging signs and such like that. But are there certain conditions or people that it's a contraindication that you can't come in and get this type of treatment?
There are some contraindications, absolutely. Look, the truth of the matter is, we're using sound wave technology, radio wave technology, and there's really no major contraindications to those technologies. They're just not that awful, and they really don't upset the body very much. But we don't like to have metal implants anywhere near the area that you're working on, for two reasons. Number one, you can heat that metal implant, and certainly that would be uncomfortable. And number two, the sound wave technology could rattle that implant if it was, just a fresh implant, meaning if it's been in there for 6 to 12 months, it's not going to rattle. But again, we just like to make sure. So if there's a metal implant close to the area, we prefer not to do anything to affect that. If somebody's
I actually have a question regarding that, because it did come up the other day. I had a lady who had hardware in her spine, a fusion, at I think it was like L4, L5, but nonetheless doesn't matter the level. But she wanted to get her abdomen done, but she had the hardware in her back. Obviously, do you think that would be kind of iffy?
Well,
since it's
how long had she had it in there?
It was like 7 or 8 years old.
Not really.
It wasn't
not
new.
Really, because there's not enough hardware there to really cause much of a problem. What I would say is this: I would tell the esthetician that you should allow the person to know that if they feel anything back there, to please let them know immediately. Because if anything was, if there was any warmth back there in any way, shape, or form, certainly the client would know it. And that's really all it is.
For sure.
It's just the same as when you're a diabetic. If you're working on a diabetic, we know that most diabetics can't feel the sensation of heat, in certain areas of the body. And so what we do is we want to make sure that the esthetician is more observant of the area. And, they're basically looking at the area to make sure it doesn't get too pink or too red, and stuff like that. So it's the same thing. It's basically just a warning. A real true contraindication would be things like, active cancer. Something like that, where you have active or recently, benign cancers, something, along those lines. You don't want to mess with, you don't want to introduce something that's going to increase the metabolism drastically in that area. Truth is, probably not going to affect it much, but I would say if you have a condition like that, you shouldn't be utilizing a machine like this. Yeah,
understood.
But there's really not many contraindications that really preclude you from doing it. Most of the other contraindications are things that are just more observe and make sure, like that, like I talked about with the heat, with the diabetic, or like you talked about with the person who had spine surgery 7 years ago. Certainly, that's not going to be moving at all because it's locked in there with scar tissue. But you just want to make sure you don't heat it up.
Understood. So you did talk about a little bit now about some redness and things like that. Are there any other like common things that people may experience post treatment as far as soreness or side effects or things like that? that you've
It's a good
seen?
question, a great question. But no, really, the only thing we've ever really seen is redness, which is really from the inflammation, which is really just a natural reaction or response from the body. Because whenever you have good trauma, bad trauma, anything, the body is going to send blood to the area, which carries oxygen to heal the area. And so it's really just a matter of inflammation. There really hasn't been anything else that we've heard of. In fact, what's really interesting is now we've had the technology. We're on the fourth piece of technology, but we've had this now almost 9 years. And in 9 years, I've not once heard any doctor say that any machine has injured any person over all those years. So really, other than redness,
Which is rare in that industry.
it's really
I'm
rare. To be
assuming.
honest with you, it's really rare. And I knock on wood and cross my fingers. I'm thankful, because not every
Hmm.
person who's utilizing the technology is a great person utilizing the technology. Not every esthetician is a great esthetician. Um, but even with that, they still get the results and they still don't hurt people.
Hmm. Yeah, it is fascinating to see how plug and play it is. It is such an easy. I mean, as long as you just kind of know, what the settings are and stuff like that. You got the touch screen, you turned it on, and then you're off and running. And we're working through figuring out ways to he kind of streamlined things a little bit, because we're still kind of getting our feet wet over the last couple of weeks. But yeah, it is such an amazing technology and so easy to use. It's just user
It
friendly
really
for
is.
sure.
And we believe in customer service. So the bottom line is that we're always going to be there for you. We're still, working with and in contact with clients of ours that have bought technology 8, 9 years ago. Because when we come up with
Hmm.
new marketing concepts or new things that we can do to help the machine or to help the doctor or to help the clients to have a more phenomenal experience, we're constantly upgrading and sharing it with everyone because we want everybody to have the best
Yeah.
experience they can possibly have. And if we can make it better or make it easier or make it more
Mhm.
comfortable, we're going to continue to do that.
Yeah, constant and ever improvement. That's certainly our mantra as well at Premier Wellness for sure. So everybody's probably been kind of on the edge of their seat, thinking like, "Wow, you keep talking about the costs, and this is a very inexpensive procedure and stuff like that." So, obviously, different areas I always say govern different prices. I even see that in my clinics. In the tradition practice. It's the cost of doing business for us is much higher over there than the cost of doing business is over at the East practice. So our fee schedules are different. But on average, what does a 60-minute session cost? What do you recommend as far as that's
It
concerned?
ranges from $200 to $300, depending upon, like you
Hmm.
said, the geographical area. But it's still,
Yeah.
even at three, it's significantly less expensive than every other technology by a long shot. And those technologies that cost 3 and 5 and 10 times more expensive are still not even remotely close to the results or the level of comfort that we have here. So there's really no competition. And once people start to embrace this technology, I really don't know how anybody can, in good sense, go anyplace else for anything else because they're not getting anything better. They're not getting anything as good, and they're paying far more. So it's
Hmm.
it's not even one of those things. It's so far outside the ballpark. It's got its own ballpark, and I think that people are going to find the results are so astounding that the price of getting such astounding results might be equally astounding.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we have a pretty broad demographic of listeners that listen to this podcast. I mean, there's people from all over the United States that tune into us. Is there a way? Let's just say somebody is listening right now out in California, and they want to try to figure out like where is the nearest iShape unit at? Is there a place that they can go to find that out,
Absolutely,
or
absolutely. In fact, I'm in California this week in my West Coast warehouse and my office out here. But yes, we have them all over the country. The best way to do that is to go to iShapeAesthetics.com. So if they go to iShapeAesthetics.com, it actually has a search on the main page where they can say they're interested in getting these procedures done. Could we find them an office in their geographical area? and we generally will. So there are enough machines around the country right now, but not enough. We still need more doctors in different territories throughout the country so that we can have availability for every single person who wants to utilize this technology.
Absolutely. And I highly suggest, if there's doctors that are listening to this, that you get a unit in your practice, because like you said, it will change lives in your area, and that's why we're in this business. And like you said, it's just more exposure for the practice. So then all the other services and things that you're doing, you're just, it's like somebody going to the grocery store, walking to the back for the milk. They're going to walk past all the other things in the grocery store along the way, and most likely, they're probably going to pick out a couple more items before they get to the checkout. Yeah. So, it's amazing. So, well, I truly appreciate you coming on the podcast today. Is there anything else that you wanted to add or wanted to discuss before we check out?
No, not really. I've enjoyed this immensely. I always love speaking about the technology. I love speaking with you, and I love your office. If anybody gets an opportunity, they should go to your site to really see what your office looks like. Your office is a very inspirational office, and there's a lot of chiropractors out there that really, it would be more beneficial if they would look at a place like yours and build a place like yours and call it home. Because let's face it, I know for myself, I spent at least 10 hours a day in my offices every single day, and I designed my offices very similar to the way you designed yours, to make it a beautiful home for myself, for all of my staff, and all of my patients. And it really is worth doing. It's worth taking the time. It's worth spending the money. And I'm just here to help all of the doctors, do what I did, do what you're doing, to enjoy their time in this profession, because it's a great profession. It's a lot of fun. It's awesome helping people. And I'm so happy to be able to continue helping people by helping doctors.
Yeah. Well, I'm really glad you walked into the practice that day to see me. That's for sure. And we're very appreciative of you and all the help you've given our team to make it a seamless transition into the aesthetics world. And we couldn't be more pleased with the technology and the product, the results it's getting. And yeah, we look forward to using it in the years to come. Yeah. That's for sure.
Well, thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you want to get some more information about the technologies and stuff like that, again, you can go to iShape Aesthetics, and you can find a machine that's near you. You can check us out at premierwellnesscenters.com. We have a page that's actually dedicated to the technology itself. You can follow us on our other social medias sites. Facebook is at Premier Wellness Centers. On our Instagram page, which is at Premier Wellness Centers. You can follow me personally on my page, which is Doc Bill Jensen on Facebook. And we're always posting new and different things that we're doing in the practice, such as the iShape technology. And right now we're doing a special introductory special. You can get 3 sessions for the price of 1. So it's 3 1-hour sessions on any of your body parts that you want to work on, whether that be your face or your abdomen or the bra fat or the bat wings or your inner thighs or any of the places that we discussed today. And it's $249 for 3 sessions. So
you can't beat that.
There's no doubt.
How exactly
no doubt. Well, Dr. Pollack, I appreciate you coming on. Like I said, enjoy the rest of your time out in Newport Beach there in Cali. Thank you. And next time you're in the area, stop by the practice and say hello.
See you soon, Bill. Take care.
All right. Take care. Enjoy the rest of your week. And enjoy the rest of your week. And make sure, if you enjoyed today's podcast, share it with 3 of your friends or follow us so you never miss another podcast. It's Dr. Bill Jensen signing off from another episode of the Evolve Wellness Experience. Take care.